On the wrong lead. I don't know what is going on, but all of a sudden I turn to Mark and I'm like, Mark, is my camera flickering? And Mark, you responded, yes, my camera is flickering. And all of a sudden it's just like started cutting in and out. I have
Yeah.
no idea what is going on right now.
You just went live and it like the entire video feed froze for 5 or 6 seconds. So considering I do work in IT, I would tell you to turn it off and turn it back on again. But you also work in IT, so I would assume you know this. Uh-oh. Now we've really broken it. Okay, so while Josh sorts out his IT problems. Hey Caleb, how's it going, buddy?
Going good, man. Better than Josh, I guess. Yeah, no complaints. Just wrapping up the longest short week that I feel like I've had in a long time. So glad that the weekend's almost here.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. Sorry, I also was having IT problems as my headphones were jumping around, so I missed half of your conversation. But yeah, man. So do we have working AC in the South now?
It is working. AC is running. I'm trying to decide if either the fact that it's like a 20-year-old condenser unit outside, or a 20-year-old house, or maybe the fact that just Louisiana was never meant for human habitation. But it doesn't work great. But as long as I keep it cold, it's fine.
And in the water at your house now flows. That is so we've upgraded since last week.
It is. Things are better than last week. I mean, generally
wow.
down here you can just go, stick a shovel in the ground and get water, but still.
But it's the world's softest water, and you wouldn't ever want to actually. It's not fit for human consumption. So
no, it's not.
Dude, where was I? I think it was Madison. I think Madison also has really soft water. And I was up there for a work conference. So I'm sitting there and I'm taking a shower and I just feel slimy. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm just like, what the heck? And they're like, yeah, I was talking to my coworkers. I was like, what is up with this? And they're like, oh, that's just soft water. That's how it works. I was like, give me the hard water over here, and we got in Chicago. I'll take that all day. But yeah, I think I figured out the problem, Mark. Because do you notice that my camera has not flickered at it either?
Yeah, it has not flickered since you came back up.
I don't know why, but I think Edge just doesn't like running this. So I'm running in Chrome now.
You just flickered, Josh. Oh, and there goes Josh. He's literally explaining to us how he fixed the issue as the issue comes back. This is peak Josh right now. We have achieved peak cherry drank. No, we can't hear you now, so that's even better.
I have no idea. I have nothing running.
Okay, we can hear you now. The fun part is we were chatting for like 20 minutes before we
no problems.
No problems. As soon as you hit the go live, everything falls apart.
But yeah, let's see if my screen will actually share here.
We doing a little Canterbury first, Josh, or do you want to?
I mean, I haven't looked at Canterbury at all. Are you actually playing something there? Do you got anything going on?
I played a little baby double here, 6/1-3. I realize I'm picking the favorite in this leg, but that was the horse that seemed to make sense given the off-going, and planning to a couple of Tomlinson horses in the last leg. So just a pure off-track Tomlinson sort of play. These were both the last two races were both carded on turf. So a lot of times in these situations, people will sort of have their plays and, oh, this is what I'm playing, and they don't realize conditions change. So you can get some overlays on this. So just taking a little stab here, little baby double.
Caleb, you got anything?
I got nothing here? Canterbury. I haven't looked at it yet.
Okay. Real quick, I'm gonna try one more thing here before I just give up. So I'm gonna dip out real quick. So Mark, why don't you entertain the people for a second?
Oh, I have to entertain the people for a second. Okay. Well, I can't share Josh's screen. So does this mean is this the situation where let me do this. Let me see if I can share. Wait,
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, you're back?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was quick. That was a lot quicker than I thought I was gonna take.
I thought I was going to have to spool up mine. So, by the way, I appreciate the name improvement, Josh. That's a nice good change. Is he gone? Is he back? We lost him again. Uh-oh.
Dude, I literally just don't get it. You know what? You know what's funny is there was an update to the stupid PDF software I'm using, and all of a sudden now, like I'm having that issue again where if I share my screen, it just disconnects.
I was having
So
issues a little bit too with everything that updated my NVIDIA drivers. I was having some issues. I don't know if you did that recently, but maybe try rolling it back.
yeah, that's so weird. Is that what happened with your when we were playing Siege the other day when you kept on crashing?
I don't know what that was. That one I did a reinstall of Siege and that fixed it. I'm not sure what was causing that, but I was having a different issue with like
Yeah.
colors being distorted on my second and third monitor.
Yeah, it was something else there. Let's try this one more time here. Share this. All right.
And by the way, just for everybody, I am the real Mark. The other imposter Mark is is not me. Uh-oh. Did we just lose the imposter Mark? I think we did again. Nope. Doing it again, Josh.
Why does my name say Mark?
Because you left and came back and you didn't change it.
Fun. All right. Give me.
So what's new?
What's new, Caleb? Nothing much, man. Just it's a week away from Saratoga. I'm getting amped.
When is opening day?
Well, Thursday the 14th is opening day. So yeah, I'll be there Thursday Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be on track. Took Thursday, Friday off, so get myself a little mini opening weekend. Break. It's I haven't seen what they've carded yet, or I don't even know if the anticipated cardings are out. But I'm really excited to see how this new 1 mile dirt short shoot plays. It's something that they haven't had at Saratoga since like the 50s or something. It's been there, not for forever. Honestly, dirt miles have become kind of more of a thing the past probably 20 years. So it's nice that they can card them. It's a turn and a half dirt mile, which is sort of a weird, weird track shape. But I'm really kind of excited for it. See how it plays, and should be kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm excited too. I think it'll be interesting. I mean, it's different, right? I'm so used to Saratoga only having a mile and an eighth, route races. So it'll be different with the mile. I'm guessing we'll see a lot less mile and an eighth races, but yeah, I mean, it'll be an interesting change. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of going to be cool, and I know that this is sort of just come out in the last day or two, and I was amazed that I hadn't seen anything more on it. But it's the idea that Joseph O'Brien is going to have a stable of horses for the Saratoga. So I don't know if that's are those Aiden horses that they're planning on pointing for Breeders' Cup races, and they're going to just stay domestically, and Joseph's just going to run them when they're in the States. Or, I know he does have some affiliation with some of the same stables his father does. I don't know if those are some of his own horses he's bringing over, or how it's being managed, but it just was released and I saw a picture of him doing works at Saratoga. So it was pretty cool. And it's neat to see, obviously one of the biggest name European trainers or barns, because I kind of consider him and his father the same thing. They're kind of somehow commingled, and interesting to see those two come together, or you'll see them bring the stable to the United States where they're going to at least run for the summer at Saratoga. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm super pumped about that. I heard he had 6 stalls, I think it was. I think most of the runners are actually his, or at least ones that have been listed under his name for the last couple of starts anyway. So, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm tired of seeing Chad Brown. I mean, they just saw it on Twitter the other day. He had 10 of the 14 nominations in the Diana were Chad Brown horses.
Yeah.
Just something ridiculous. I mean, I didn't see any, or maybe I don't remember seeing any Joseph O'Brien horses in that race. Maybe there were some, I can't remember. But at either rate, I mean, it'll be nice to get some some fresh blood in some of these turf races that have been just dominated by Chad Brown for so long.
Yeah, and it's also nice to just see some of the Euro invaders where you're going to see these horses who they're going to run, at least part, if not all of the European season. Maybe they're going to come over here for 3 or 4 races during the summer where they have a lull or they fit in better here. Maybe they're the horse that likes a little firmer, turf and then is going to maybe run, however they're shipping around. I think it's pretty cool to see a little bit more of that international flair on a regular basis. I know we both like to, play Euros coming to the States. Obviously, that's why both of these 2 Belmont races are pretty interesting. So, I couldn't be much more excited about it. It's pretty cool.
I've officially unplugged and replugged everything back in, so we'll see what fucking happens. But
did you? I like the old school days, like the Nintendo 64. You got to pull the cartridge out and like blow in the bottom.
Blow it off. Yeah. Did you blow off the connector?
Try that.
Yeah. You know what it is? It's something with. I think my just not to get too geeky, but I think I'm overloading my USB stuff. Like something is getting overloaded because what's happening is my audio interface is flashing. Right.
Uh-oh.
Sorry. No, that was actually me. That was me hitting the mute button. My audio interface is flashing, and like it flashes off, like kind of like it got disconnected. And I would wish it would not keep lowering the volume. And then my video flash.
Oh, and then we lost them again. Yeah. Oh man, this is going to be an entertaining evening if this keeps happening. So
I see your mouth moving, but I don't hear the words.
Don't hear any voice. Well, they're off at Canterbury.
This only happens when I share my screen. I don't know what. I honestly don't know what it is.
Do you want me to be?
Yeah, you can share it. I'm tired of dealing with this. You know what's funny is I thought that I have this other audio interface, and I thought it was the audio interface was the problem. Apparently, it's not. I got something fucked up going on. Yeah, Andy's saying just throw in the towel. I'm throwing in the fucking towel. Like this is ridiculous. We'll have Mark share his bootleg PPs over here. I don't know what this nonsense is.
Cool. If anybody in chat's having a hard time reading that, I can make it a little bit bigger. And let me zoom in just a little bit more. Sorry, I didn't have this set up ahead of time. We weren't planning on doing it this way, so. Should make it big enough that everybody can read things. Hey, my 6 is gonna romp at Canterbury. Looks like very nice. I will take that. Not that I should.
I heard that. I heard the.
Oh! God! Did I just do that? I just did that, didn't I? Well,
did he get caught? I only have it up.
Yep, he did. Got nailed at the wire.
From a romp
I just did that to myself, didn't I? Wow.
Yep, the 5.
That is a talent that I have, and I need to stop doing that. Yeah. So, now that I'm out of my double already, that was quick. Let's talk a little bit of this Belmont Oaks Invitational Stakes, 1.25 miles on the inner. Ton of Euro invaders, ton of horses that, sort of hype horses, up and coming faces, new faces, horses that we haven't seen in a while, horses that you're looking to take that step forward. Why don't we start off with Caleb, because I know he likes some Euros. What are you looking at here, Caleb?
Yeah, this is a really fun race. I actually really, really like both the Belmont Oaks and the Belmont Derby. I thought they came up really competitive. You can make a case for most of the field, I think. So I'm really excited for these races. I'm looking forward to it. I think in the Belmont Oaks, I saw a lot of conversation on Twitter about can the Americans win one? Can they win both? The Europeans going to sweep? I think it's more than likely the Europeans sweep, but if the Americans steal one, I think it is this one. But for me, I think that the race is probably favorite. Looks like it's going to be the 10 Concert Hall. I'm not aggressively against Concert Hall. She's not my top pick in here, but I do think that she is a horse that does make a lot of sense. I'm sure Mark's probably going to talk about this horse, so I'll probably leave that one to him. And instead go to the horse to her inside, who I actually like a little bit better, number 9, Agartha. So this is a horse that was pretty good as a 2-year-old. And then, at first glance, maybe hasn't quite put it all together at 3. But the form going into this race is eerily similar to a horse last year we saw with State of Rest. That was also a Joseph O'Brien horse. He's a colt, and he went into the Saratoga Derby, not the Belmont Derby. But the path leading up to it was relatively similar. A number of races at 7 furlongs and 1 mile in Europe. Joseph O'Brien ships the horse over and stretches him all the way out to 1 mile and 3/16, and he romps and then goes on to win the Cox Plate and stamp himself as a very nice horse in that division. I'm not sure Agartha is the same caliber of horse as State of Rest, but she does come in here with the same pattern. She has some nice wins to her name. She was beaten just a length by Homeless Song 3 starts back, and then she was just a little bit too close to a pretty hot pace in the 1,000 guineas last time out. Tuesday kind of made an early move and forced the hand of Agartha in that race, and ended up kind of falling apart and just setting up for Homeless Songs to run away and hide. Concert Hall ran third in that race, but really was only half a length better than Agartha. And Concert Hall is your 3-1 favorite, and Agartha's 10-1. I'll take 3 times the odds on horses that I think are incredibly similar all day. Agartha beat Concert Hall twice as a 2-year-old, and I think the pedigree here seems to suggest that a stretch out is certainly within the wheelhouse of Agartha. There's a lot of staying pedigree on the bottom. So for me, I'm going to go with Agartha. She has the ability to be forwardly placed, and truthfully, there is no speed in this race. I'm guessing Kyra Memories probably gets the lead, and then maybe Hottie sits second or third. I would expect Agartha to be right there. So I think she's probably good enough to get first run on some of these, and with some improvement, I think would make some sense.
Yeah, no, I thought Agartha made some sense in here, but doesn't it scare you a little bit? Isn't she like the perfect key underneath exacta horse? Like she does seem like she has an epic case of the hangs.
She could.
I mean, I realize she's 2 for 11 lifetime, but it's got 5 seconds. It just screams like a horse that doesn't quite have that killer instinct, or you just play on the game that she hasn't quite put it all together yet.
I think it could be that she just hangs. I mean, I think that's a valid concern. I think she's also just had a little bit of bad luck, running into horses that are just one better. So I think she's half of those seconds have been to Homeless Songs, and I think 3 or 4 of those losses. So I'm not really holding it against her too much. I mean, we'll see. I don't think there's really any monsters in here, so I'm not too afraid of anything else. And I'm really kind of banking on the stretch out making the difference here.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't hate that take at all. She does have a pedigree that says she should stretch out okay. I don't think the distance here would be any issue for her whatsoever. And I don't know if she'll necessarily this is exactly what she wants to do, but I do like St. Joseph at least give her the shot at seeing if this is what she wants to do. And I do agree with you. You're going to get a lot better price on her in Concert Hall. I mean, Concert Hall is my top pick. I think Caleb kind of alluded to that going into this. She's a horse that Aiden has been very high on ever since, even before her first start, which is why she started her first start in a G1 at the Kerr. Obviously, very, very, high expectations for this one as a 2-year-old, lived up to it in that World Park Stakes at the Kerr, and then came back in the Kazoo Oaks and, threw a bit of a clunker. You're going to be hearing a lot about both the Kazoo Oaks and the Kazoo Derby at Epsom. I think both of those races are just ones that every horse that I see them on, I want to put a line through. I don't really know what happened or why it was so weird, but none of the horses that were supposed to run well, though either of those races ran well. It was all outsiders, huge prices, blew up the tote board kind of things. And I just tend to think that those are sort of one-off type deals. And I can sort of ignore that and go back to Concert Hall. I realize it was a figure in a losing race, but that figure that she ran, last, she has pretty good figures in here, kind of that 106, 107 time for me sort of area. And, I just think she's a kind of horse that, has every opportunity to take another step forward. I think she'll probably handle the going here. And Ryan Moore saw fit to come over. If she wasn't super live here, I don't think that happens. This is what we saw happen last year as Ryan Moore came across with some of Aiden's good horses to run in these big money races. And, they all ran pretty darn well. So I think Concert Hall's my top pick. I am going to talk another horse unless Josh wants to hop in. I think of the Americans, I'm going to land on a little bit of an oddball here in consumer spending. I think when you sort of look at Chad Brown's barn historically. He's always gone to Irad. I think everybody thought that Pratt was coming east to kind of be the go-to jock, for Chad Brown. But if you actually look at who's been getting super live mounts and they have not been taking money all Belmont spring, that's been Manny. He's been getting, Manny's a 19%, 20% jock who's winning at 32% up for Chad. He's definitely getting very, very live horses for the Chad Brown barn. And this horse just likes to be in the winner's circle, win across the surface. A horse that, 4 for 6 lifetime has run really, really, really well. And if you toss that Breeders' Cup, the juvenile filly turf, which was a huge field, and a lot of times just weird stuff happens. She's been super impressive and has slightly taken a step forward in every single one of her races. So I'm actually, of the I think 3 Chads in here, she's the one that I'm kind of most interested in, thinking that she arguably could be the best Chad in the race, and is one that I think probably gets a little lost on the board.
So you're not rushing to bet Haughty at 7-2?
I think there's no way on earth that Haughty goes off at 7-2. They're at 5-1 in the morning line. I think Haughty probably ends up your second choice in here, I would guess.
Haughty's the
And
favorite overseas right now.
really? Okay.
Basically, every single book that has odds right now has Haughty as the favorite. 7-2.
What sort of odds? 7-2?
7-2.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if Haughty goes even shorter than that. I don't. Well, okay. I'm not going to judge the Euros. They seem to have a pretty good handle. And I think they probably on these turf races, especially with all the Euro shippers, have a better line. But no, I'm not going to rush to the window to bet Haughty. It's a horse that if I was playing in a pick 5 or something, I don't necessarily want Haughty to beat me. But I think there's other horses I'm just a lot more interested in this spot.
We are 20 minutes in, first race, and Mark has already taken the defensive B. That's just astounding.
I do have Haughty as a B on my handicapping. So if anybody wants to
you
know
do.
the winner of the of this race, clearly.
Man, I don't believe the horse is going to be your favorite. We'll see. I don't buy it.
I was with Caleb on this one. I'd like the Gartha most, I think, in this race. I'm just kind of looking at the whole body of work. Gartha has won two group races, albeit while 2. But I don't know. I think Agartha hasn't really, that last race might have been the only kind of bad race, and it was a straight. Has finished, pretty decently the past couple of races here. And I thought that I was being super smart, taking 10-1 on this horse, getting a nice price as opposed to Concert Hall. Which, I mean, first of all, how can anyone bet a horse with that starts Concert after just the abomination that was and is Concert Tour? I mean, I don't know how you get that bad taste out of your mouth like that, but yeah, it looks like I see some of the sharp books have Agartha at 11-2. I see Concert Hall at 4-1, so they're basically neck and neck. I really think that I'm going to use those 2 horses, the 9 and the 10, and move forward horizontally. If I were to pick one horse to win this race, it would be the 9.
Okay, so you two are both liking the 9. What do you think of Nick Feldman's question about where Agartha is going to be placed? Do you expect her to be forwardly placed? Is she potentially going to go to the lead, considering she's coming out of shorter? What's your take on what Johnny V does with Agartha here?
I think she'll be forward. She was forward in her last race. She's been, forward in a number of her races. She's not going to be on the lead, or at least I don't think so, unless there's some tactics games going on. I would expect that to go to Kyron Memories on the 2. But I would guess she's in the first, 3 or 4 horses in that second flight. Especially with the draw. I mean, having to save a little bit of ground.
Yeah, I agree. I think Agartha sits in that first or second flight and is going to get first run. I don't think she's going to be 4 or 5 lengths off. I'm thinking this is probably going to press the pace from second or third.
Yeah.
Okay, so horses we should probably talk about. I remember a point in time when McCull's potentially like the best Chad on the face of the planet, and his sort of. I don't know. I think we see this a little bit with some of these chads. Sometimes they don't necessarily mature from 2 to 3. Anybody have any interest in McCulloch here? Potentially taking a step forward? What, third start of her 3-year-old season?
No, I won't have this horse in a single ticket.
Yeah, that's my take as well. I can't get there. Seems like the other Chad. So yeah, I'm trying to think who else should we talk about.
So Nick Feldman in chat brought up the 4 with the Moonlight. That's a horse that I probably have as a B at the moment, and I kind of agree with him. And Mark, you brought this point up. I know we talked about it. There's a lot of funky results on Epsom Derby Day. Both in the Derby and the Oaks. I'm drawing a line through that race. It's too bad to be real. Her body of work before that was good enough to suggest that race is an anomaly. I don't know that her body of work before that makes her a huge dominant threat in this race by any means. But I think with the way these Godolphin Appleby runners have been showing up in North America the past couple of years, I think you have to take anything that comes over here extremely seriously, especially when Dettori comes over to ride. So yeah, I mean, that horse is a B for me, but I kind of agree with you. Not my top pick, but a horse I'll use.
Yeah, I also have. I don't know where she's going to end up being. If she'll be a B or she's. I don't really know what to do with her. Really like the horse, really like the sequence of races. I really wish William Buick came over to ride her. My biggest qualm about her is just that Frankie Dettori has been riding absolutely terrible the past, let's say, month or so. He's actually looks like he's losing a couple of his, some of the bit. I know it's a little different in Europe where certain riders ride exclusively for certain barns, and it looks like he may lose some of his sort of barn favoritism because of just how poorly he's been riding. There's a lot of very suspect rides at Ascot. Just it seems like Frankie may have kind of lost his edge. He's definitely somebody who he's a very known name, and he's a guy who tends to show up on the big days. But I don't necessarily love Frankie up on this horse until he's shown that maybe he's figured out. I don't know if he has an injury he's nursing or if there's something else going on there, but Frankie just hasn't been the normal Frankie, and he tends to take a lot of money. So do I want a really short priced horse that's taking money on the on connections alone? That's a little scary to me. So I don't know what I do with the Moonlight, but I do agree with you. I think she's super interesting. And if you again, put a line through that last race, and her 2 back was pretty darn good.
Frankie Dettori much more interested in giving out tips than he is riding. I don't know if you guys saw that. Apparently, he was before the races at Ascot, he was in the crowd giving people tips on horses and asking for cash, basically. So, yeah.
Well, that's always a good sign.
I forgot who posted it. Someone posted it on Twitter, and it was pretty funny. It was some Euro reporter, I think. So
we probably don't need to spend much time on this, but is there any chance Kyra Memories can wire this field?
Mike Smith is 20% on turf.
He found the fountain of youth, I guess.
Apparently.
Because who knows with all the Chads and stuff going on. But there's no other speed on paper in this race.
I don't think it's possible because these Euros don't mess around with that bullshit.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I think Agartha, if it go I can see a scenario where Mike Smith 4D chesses himself to a 50-50 half, thinking he's going to get that, and Agartha just takes the lead, and is fine on being on the lead. So
I would imagine one of the 3 Chads is going to be told to keep Kyra members some company on the front end. I would be shocked if Chad doesn't. I don't want to necessarily say he's putting 3 in here and one of them's a rabbit, but I will say he's probably putting 3 in here and telling one of those jockeys, hey, I want you forwardly placed and don't let the 2 get away with murder on the front end. So I think, Kyra Memories is probably going to go to the front end and try to steal it, especially in a race that on paper doesn't have a lot of pace. But I would be very surprised if she can get out and get comfortable, on Saturday.
Yeah, but that's Aiden's game too, right? He'll enter 3.
Yeah,
but the problem, the thing is that Aiden enters 3, and the one
that's
on the lead can win still.
Have we so quickly forgotten about Tribavon a month ago?
Don't you remember making the case for Thace?
Yeah, the case for
Except for
Face.
Face didn't win and Tribufan did. So,
True,
there's a
true.
slight difference there. But no, I think all all three of the Chads can win. I wouldn't talk if anybody was really interested in Kyra Memories. I would imagine you'd get every bit of that 12-1. I wouldn't hate that play if you were super interested in the horse. Yeah,
You're way too nice.
she'll be on none of my tickets. I mean, I have no interest in her at all.
3/4 of the horses in this race can't win, and you talked about half of them.
I mean, can we talk about one that I think can win that we haven't talked about, or we drag this one out too
I mean, I guess might as well.
Okay, I'm a little bit interested in New Year's Eve. I thought she, seems like a horse who's kind of figuring things out. That Edgewood was a pretty damn good race. Beat McCulloch, and yet is longer priced on the board than McCulloch. Brendan Walsh seems to, can get some of these going, get them right, and they can stay right for a long time. And the time form figure on last race, I realized not everybody believes in time form, was a 113. And that's, I think, the fastest in this race, or maybe second fastest. Horse that probably, obviously Sayers is going to take some money, but this one might be really good. And I think, this is a horse that I will have on my tickets. I don't want to let beat me. Not my top choice, but I think it's a horse that you probably get some decent value on.
Yeah. All I'll say is I don't know how anybody is still using turf time form figures from the Derby weekend. I mean, after we saw Speak of the Devil record like 727 time form figure and then come back and just run horrible. And we've seen that happen again and again. The course was incredibly wonky. There was an insane outside closer bias flow. This horse took advantage of that. I don't think she's that good. I'm not going to kill you on it because she probably will be a bit of a price because it's a pretty open race, but I need her to prove that to me before I can back her.
No, I respect that. Anybody else you want to talk, Josh? Okay. Let's go on to the Belmont Derby. $1.25 million purse. This was a pretty cool race. It's interesting. I think Caleb already mentioned this. It's pretty cool of Naira to be doing this, where they're putting big money behind some of these turf races for 3-year-olds and getting the Euro invaders. I thought this race came up super salty. I think you can make a case in the Oaks that maybe one of the Americans steps up. I think that's a little bit of a harder case to make in this race. But Josh, where'd you end up landing in here?
Well, I already know that you're going to be on probably this 13. You're going to use a 10 defensively. You might even use the 8 a little bit because they all train. They all train with the Euros. And honestly, I think that the 13 and the 10 are going to probably be your most likely winners here. I'm obviously I'm gonna try and take a bit of a outsider, I guess. A turf horse that is finally getting back to the right surface. And shout out to my buddy Ed DeRosa. I like the 9. Tis the bomb in this race. The unfortunate thing is that this horse got caught up in Derby fever. I think what you mentioned, Mark, is actually a good thing for a lot of these Derby horses, that they're putting up these $1 million races in July so that they can be dumb and try the Derby and then be like, oh well, I guess we'll just try and run for $1 million in Belmont. So I think Tis the Bomb finally, got a little bit of layoff from the Derby, is going to come back, run on the right surface. It was absolutely nothing wrong with that BC Juvenile Turf effort. Finished first in the BC Juvenile Turf, as everyone remembers, after the late scratch of Modern Games. So, I don't know how the connections looked at that and decided, hey, let's make a run. But you could tell they ran the horse on synthetic twice and the horse won. So I think getting back to the right surface, I think is going to be a little bit of a unknown commodity. I think overseas, if I remember correctly, he's currently the third choice, sitting around like 9-2, 5-1. So he's getting a little bit of backing overseas as well. So I'm interested to see this one run. I think that it is probably your third or fourth most likely winner here. So it's going to definitely be a price dependent play, but horizontally, I'll definitely have Tizabom on some tickets. But I'll let you talk about the chalk over here.
Caleb, you want to talk about the chalk? You want me to talk about the chalk? What are we doing here?
What do you want to do, man? I'll leave it up to you. Because I think I see
Okay.
it similar to you. So why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean, I think this goes through one of the Euros. The two horses I will have, most prominent on my tickets will be Nation's Pride, another one of these horses that draw line through that, the Epsom Derby, last out, and the form just absolutely jumps off the page. Wonky races happen, and I think that just was a wonky race. Again, would prefer William Buick came over, but I realized I just bashed Frankie, so if I get 5-1 on this one, I'm okay taking the washed up old man. And the other thought was really interesting in here was Stone Age, the other Aidan O'Brien horse with Ryan Moore up. I realize DRF doesn't show all the running lines. There's obviously more races than just one in here. That last out race was again a little bit wonky, but if the horse runs back to that two back race at Leopardstown, where we threw up a 116 time form fig, Stone Age should be really, really tough in here. Pedigree screams that this is probably the right distance, and I'm super, super interested. I think at 9-2, that's really fair value. I don't know what this horse goes off at, but I would imagine quite a bit shorter than 9-2, given Aiden's propensity to come over here and sort of steal these races. So I thought the two most likely winners in here were the 10 and the 13. There's a few others in here that I know a couple people have mentioned in chat, and I'll loop back to them. But Caleb, what are you thinking in here?
Before Caleb goes, I will tell you the sharp books have Stone Age at 2-1. So
yeah, that I was expecting. The 2-1, 5-2 range is probably about where we end up here. So again, I would have no. You're obviously going to get value other places in here. So if Josh's horse, you're probably going to get all the morning line and maybe even a little more.
Yeah, it looks like 7 or 8-1, 7 or 8-1 on Tiz the Bomb.
7-1, 8-1 on Tiz the Bomb, which I went. And I think that suddenly makes Tiz the Bomb much more interesting personally. So.
Yeah, so my thoughts are honestly just a combination of both of yours. The only American that I want any piece of is Tiz the Bomb, and he's probably a third or fourth pick for me in this race. But he'll be on a couple of my tickets. He's the only American I think that really has a chance. As far as the Europeans, I mean, my top two picks are the ones Mark have already covered. I probably give a slight nod to Stone Age. This is the exact path that Bolshoi Ballet took last year to win this race. He came in the Derby trial at Leopardstown. Leopardstown plays extremely similar to American tracks, and he crushed that. Bolshoi Ballet kind of had a no-show in the Epsom Derby, and then he came here and he won the Belmont Derby. It would not surprise me at all to see the same results happen here. As far as Nation's Pride, I think that you toss the Derby from him, just like I am a few others. But his body of work maybe isn't quite as impressive. I'm not quite sure how good some of those listed races really were. He did beat Hu Ya Mal by 7 lengths, who came back to run second in the Derby. But I think he was 150-1 that day, so I think that might be a bit of an aberration for him actually running that well. I think they're the two likeliest winners. I think Tiz the Bomb's probably a third pick. I think you guys have it covered. The one bomb I do want to talk about that I really like and will be on pretty much all of my tickets is the number 6, Machete. Or Machete. I'm going to call Machete. So this is a horse that at first glance might think, he's just better on synthetic. And that might be true, honestly. But I just get the suspicion this is a horse that's better on firmer ground. Because if you look at some of those races that he really didn't show up, most of those were on softer ground. And it's not like he didn't show up. That's not fair to say. But that he doesn't run quite as well. Both of his wins came over the synthetic, and his better races in general have come over the good turf or the synthetic. France is pretty much permanently underwater. So I think that, honestly, the fact that, they run on synthetic, I won't say it's immune to weather, but it doesn't have the bogging tendencies of the grass. So I think he's really going to love getting some firmer ground here at Belmont. That last race, the Prix du Jockey Club at Chantilly, that's an excellent race. I mean, Vadini is the second-rated time form horse in Europe right now behind Desert Crown. And 2 races ago, he ran second by 2 lengths to Vadini. Then he caught a softer ground going a little bit farther, and he didn't run quite as well. But keep in mind, Vadini was 5 lengths clear of the field that day, and he was only a length and change behind Modern Games, who we all remember from the Breeders' Cup last year. So for me, I think Machete getting onto some firmer ground here would really be a sneaky horse that I don't think is going to take any money due to the connections and the fact that the only wins have come on the synthetic.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you here, Caleb. Machete to me was an extremely interesting horse in that if you cross off the last race and you cross off the two back before that, all of a sudden that turf form really improves for the one time the horse ran on quote unquote firm turf. The turf was not firm that Prix de Guichet day. It's that's probably, let's call it good. The soft side of good is what they're calling firm at Chantilly. So I think Machete makes an absolute ton of sense here, and I also really like when some of the French connections that are these smaller connections shipped to the United States. A couple of these guys tend to do very, very well because they're a little different than maybe an Aidan O'Brien who ships 20 horses over and he's just going to run them on big days. If these guys are shipping over, they're spending a lot of money to do it, and they are very much targeting a specific race. So I don't think Machete shipped over here if he's not very, very, very live in this spot. So, but I will throw it back. I did see Nick Feldman threw that up, and Josh already threw it up. Caleb, like the Machete, don't you also have to kind of like Implementation, who is right there? I think in two back race.
I mean, I probably won't give Machete as much of a look. He would just missed two back, and then wasn't. But I mean, I wouldn't talk anybody off the horse for me personally. I mean, I don't know that the horse is really, is going to improve as much on the quicker ground compared to a horse like Machete, who I think I've seen enough to really think that the ground could make a difference there. But I'm not against the horse. I mean, I kind of just prefer Machete more so than I'm against the one. I mean, 20-1 for each of them on the morning line. I like the fact that the jock who's been on Machete before a couple times, including for both wins, chooses to travel, whereas the jock for the one kind of stays home and Velasquez picks up the mount. But I mean, if you like the one Implementation, I mean, the horse makes some sense. I think it's got to find some improvement, but not out of the question.
Yeah, I had the exact same take on Implementation. My thing is I probably need double the odds on Implementation that I do on Machete. So, if I'm going to get 20-1 on Machete, I would need 40-1 on Implementation to be interested. I don't think you get 20-1 on Machete. I think if Caleb and I are both on the horse, I would imagine that the horse is more like 10-1, and you probably get 20-1 on Implementation. But it's a horse that I do agree with what Nick was saying, that this is a horse that if you look at the company he's been keeping, suddenly his form improves. But I think at least on the win side of things, Machete's sort of proved the point twice now. So he needs to find an improvement, and I don't know if just shipping to the States gets him that. Anybody else?
I have nothing to add.
I say, anybody else in here that we need to talk about? I mean, we got Side Dog in here. We got Emmanuel in here. A couple of horses that
we definitely do not need to talk about Emmanuel at all.
Okay. Well, then, does anybody need to have a conversation about Side Dog, who I think through the first 3 starts of his career, everybody thought, oh my God, this horse is going to be a monster. And that American Turf was a touch of a disappointment where he went off at really short odds and just didn't kind of run his A game, and Irad has gotten off or been taken off. I realize Graham does use Manny quite a bit, but any interest in a little Side Dog with a redemption?
Let me speak for Caleb here. You mean to tell me you want me to take a closer that couldn't win when literally the only thing that was winning were closers on Derby weekend? Absolutely,
your Caleb
fucking
is good.
Not.
Pretty good.
Absolutely.
That is
fucking
Caleb to a T.
Not.
Pretty good.
That is very good. That is some good Caleb. No, I respect that.
Somebody in chat had another horse they want to talk about. Nick, the number 8.
Oh, not that one.
Royal Patronage.
No, not Command Performance. I saw Command Performance come up, and I gave that horse like 9 tries.
Wait, who
to me, Royal Patronage is very similar to the Appleby horse in the Oaks. to where you toss a line through the last race, maybe you can make a case. But I think I'm probably not going to have Royal Patronage on any of my tickets, and I did really look hard and try to make the case. But 3 of his last 4 races are terrible. I mean, he's got one good race in there to Desert Crown, which Nick shows up. And if you go back far enough, he did beat Caribus, who is a very nice Godolphin horse. But yeah, I mean, it just seems like this is a horse that was a very early bloomer, and then something has gone wrong. 3 of the last 4 races didn't show up, and maybe there's some excuses in there, but it's a tough one for me to back after some of those efforts.
So I will say with Royal Patronage, this is a horse that I will have someplace on my tickets. Probably a B or a C type for me. I like that they shipped over and picked up a local jock, and they picked up Joel Rosario, who, if he's, if you get the good Joel Rosario, he's the best jock on the face of the planet. You do have to sort of draw some lines through a couple of those last. Horse hasn't won since, since what, September of last year. But horse is 3-9 on the turf, and horse has actually never caught fast turf in his 9-start career. So there's always a chance that, obviously you get some of these smart Euro connections who say, hey, we have a really talented horse. I think he really wants firmer going. Let's ship him to the States where he can get that more consistently. If this is one of those scenarios and they're picking up a local jock for that reason, could be an interesting horse with a lot of upside. So again, horse I want somewhere, but I don't want to be featured super heavily with. Okay, we've talked this race till death. Do we go to the land of one Mr. Brian Duransky?
I don't know. I'm excited to talk about Indiana, or no,
it's Horseshoe
Indianapolis.
Look
which
at
you cannot
that.
bet on DRS bets, FYI.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't think if we actually mentioned this or not in the stream. We are covering the cross country pick 5 sequence for Saturday, which is the 2 races from Belmont, and then there are 3 races from the one and only Horseshoe Indianapolis. And I think actually this sequence is brutal. It's going to end up paying really well, and I don't even think you need prices for it to pay really well. These are just really big competitive fields, and it makes for some extremely, extremely good racing. So I think it pays pretty damn well. I would be shocked if this doesn't at least pay 4 figures. So, and honestly, 5 figs wouldn't surprise me in the least. So, Josh, I realize you've capped this. So where did you end up, in the, I don't even know what the acronym is for the name, the JB Schiller something 100K stakes that some like a Hot Brown seems to ship up for?
I would actually like you to pronounce that again.
I have no idea.
Jonathan. It's a Jonathan B. Schuster Memorial Stakes.
See, DRF does this thing where they do these sort of acronyms, and I have no idea what that is. It nowhere does it tell me the full name of this. Yeah, it's just for 4-year-olds and upwards for 100K. So.
Of the horses that are drawn in, I really only need one horse and one horse only, I think, in this race.
I wonder who that is.
And that's going to be the number 12, Ivar.
I was going to say something like a Hot Brown, actually.
Is the morning line favorite here at 2-1. I took a look at this race, and I took a look at the pace scenario, and I basically came up with, I think that there's some like a Hot Brown is going to have too much to contend with on the front end. I think that the winner's going to come from off the pace in this race. I think that it looked like there was a lot of speed when I looked at this initially on Brisnet. So Ivar just makes a ton of sense. Is going to be sitting off the pace. I think that this distance hits him square in the eyes. Generally runs a mile, but mile and 16th. I mean, that's the extra half furlong. I don't think is going to make a difference, and is the classiest of the horses in this race. So, just all positives. I think is going to have the race flow going. I really the only negative I can think of is that you get Joe Talamo aboard, but Joe Talamo's ridden this horse the past 7 or 8 times, so knows the horse. I just really think that there's so many positives going for Ivar that I have a hard time looking elsewhere. I love some like a Hot Brown. He's like a son to me. But unfortunately, I just think pace-wise, he's going to have too much to contend with. Now, you get a little bit of, if you get a couple of these speed horses scratching out, and maybe Saturday morning, and I'm alluding to something, but maybe Saturday morning, the pace scenario looks a little bit different. Uh, maybe I changed my mind there. The only real other horse that I'm interested in this spot is a horse that's technically not drawn in, and that's going to be the horse right to Ivar's outside, the 13 Price Talk. You're getting a much better price. Obviously, you're 15-1 on the morning line. However, I will warn you, for people who have not played Indiana Grand, you could basically take the morning line at Indiana Grand and just use it to like start your grill, because it's basically just useless. So this horse is 15-1. This horse will probably go off at like 9-2 or something stupid if this horse does draw in. But I think, just like I said, once again, I'm just looking at the race flow. And also Ivar has had a tendency to scratch out of some of these races. Paulo Lobo, I don't know if he does this a lot, but I feel like the past couple of races that he's had horses entered in these big spots, they've scratched day of. So, and maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't know. I feel like I've seen him enter horses in the past like 2 or 3 kind of big days. I think Ivar in particular and is just scratched out. So I don't know if there's a problem with the horse. I don't know what's going on there, but especially if Ivar ends up somehow scratching out of this, I think Price Talk is a really good place to look for an off the pace type horse. And just as far as the race flow kind of looks for me, that's how I'm kind of seeing it, is I'm seeing off the pace in this race. So the 12 and the 13, if he draws in, are where I'm going to kind of look here.
Cool. Price Talk with me was a hard one to get to. I do very much respect your opinion, though, and I understand when you look at the connections, what they do off the claim. The horse does make quite a lot of sense. I do sort of have to ask you a question, though, on Ivar, and not to beat you up or anything, Josh, but it's not 2020 anymore. And do you kind of worry that Ivar's best days were sort of 2 years ago? I mean, this is, you're coming off the Breeders' Cup Mile where Ivar ran a decent race, was just outclassed by a couple of really classy horses in Space Blues and Smooth Like Straight. Long layoff and an absolute massive class cliff. I mean, this horse has ran his last 6 in G1 company, and now you're going to a black type. Is this just Paulo Lobo trying to find an appropriate spot for this horse, or have the wheels sort of come off and they're trying to figure out what they need to do to get a win?
I don't know. I could see Paulo Lobo just trying to get one in, because I mean the horse hasn't run this year yet, so finds a soft spot here in Indiana. He keeps a big not a big stable, but he keeps a stable here in Indiana. Runs a lot of horses at Indiana Grand, or I mean he doesn't run a lot of horses, period. But the fact that he's got 10 starts at Indiana Grand, I mean he keeps some horses here. So it probably just looks like a soft spot. I mean, where's he going to run? He can't run Ivar in Kentucky. Where's he going to run? There's no turf. So
My thought would be you save him for a turf mile at Saratoga. You point for the 4-star Dave and maybe find him a prep in a black type before that.
Yeah, but look at where Ivar has run. I mean, Paulo Lobo does not ship over to.
Right.
He doesn't.
Right.
He's not going to ship to.
He's never shipped to Naira. Yep.
I could maybe see him shipping maybe to Del Mar. What's Del Mar's mile race? Don't they have a win and you're in mile turf race in the summer?
Hollywood Gold Cup, is that it?
No, that's a like mile and a half or a mile and a quarter race.
And then that's on dirt, isn't it?
Yeah, or maybe he's just trying to get him ready for Kentucky Downs. I don't know, but this is a soft spot to kind of bring him back, and I don't know. I know what you were saying, like, hey, like they he's putting him in such a soft spot, but like he's been beaten by horses like Space Blues, Smooth Like Straight, Colonel Liam, Order of Australia. Like you're looking at the horses that beat him. Like any of those horses would be 1-9 in this field. So I don't know. I think this is a great spot for him. I think that the race flow just sets up for him. We'll see if he actually shows up.
So Caleb, where'd you end up here?
I struggle with the race, honestly, because I'm not particularly like in love with the favorites in here. So I get where Josh is coming from.
In Love is not in this race. That's the other Paulo
Ivar
Lobo
might not be
horse.
either with the way that Lobo
Sure.
scratches these horses. And that's kind of my issue, honestly, is with Ivar. He scratched twice already this year. Lobo just didn't really like the way the horse was training leading up into the Maker's Mark Mile at Keeneland this April when he was entered there. So we scratched him out of there. They put him in the one of the big graded stakes races on the Derby day, and I guess he came down with a minor foot injury. So they scratched him out of there, and it's just kind of baffling to me that you have a horse that you enter in 2 grade ones and then scratch him out to run him for 10 gallons of gas at Indiana Grand. So like, I don't really understand the placement here. We haven't seen this horse in a long time. He's 6 years old. He's historically not fired off the layoff. I mean, most of his wins have come second off the layoff or with some racing under his belt. And we haven't really seen him win in a year and a half for that matter. Now, he's got 5 grade ones in a row, and he's dropping into the Schuster listed stakes Indiana Grand. If he shows up, he wins this race by as many lengths as he wants to. If he shows up at 80%, he probably wins this race anyway. But I'm torn because, looking at the cross-country sequence on the whole, I do have a bit of a hard time because, I kind of think the favorites need to be used at Belmont. And, I think the favorite in the next race looks awful tough at Indiana Grand. So this might be a favorite I try to beat. Looking at the stats on Brisnet, the outside posts seem pretty terrible, going 2 turns on the turf. Impact value of 0.37. So 1 would be average. So it wins about a third as much as expected to based on the odds. This horse has the parking lot draw. It has Smokin' Joe Talamo. The figures in the class are there, but I don't know what to do with that horse. And that's kind of where I'm at right now is I don't know. I do agree with Josh. It feels like there's a lot of speed in here. I think the 4 is going to scratch. That horse is pretty clearly only in here for if the race gets washed off. But even without the 4, I think that the 3 is going to go, the 1 is going to go, the 6 very well could be forwardly placed. And then with the 4 being scratched out, I kind of am with Josh on Price Talk, number 13, who I think looks really interesting in here. You're getting one of the best trainers in the country, and especially at Indiana Grand, this is essentially his backyard. Has run some good races, has been a bit inconsistent at times, but I thought this horse always had a lot of promise. And was kind of surprised when Klarovich gave up on him so quickly. I thought this horse had a lot of talent when they just dropped him in for a tag. Gets into an excellent barn here. Also has a bad post to overcome, and 15-1 is a bit of a joke. But I do like Price Talk. 2 other horses I kind of gave a look to were the 8 and the 9. The 8 is admittedly up against it from a class perspective, but I am a sucker for a good horse for course angle. And the figures aren't so far removed from what it might take to win for anybody who's not named Ivar that I think he might have a chance in here. When the trip works, the distance works, and the course, he likes Indiana Grand. The other one is the 9, who I think has really turned a corner as a 4-year-old, rattling off 2 pretty nice wins. Did kind of have that closer flow at Churchill, but he was on the rail when most of the better running was done wide on the course. So I'm not really ready to say that he ran with the bias that day. So the 9 I thought is probably my next pick after Price Talk. Those are the 2 horses I'm most interested in, with maybe a sprinkle on the 8.
Yeah, I saw this. I think Caleb mentioned all the horses I'm interested in. I have to use Ivar. He of the short-priced favorites in this entire season, the ones I would most like to toss, it's Ivar. Like, he's the horse I want to throw. But if he brings his B game, he should win this by as many lengths as he wants. He's clearly the classiest horse in the field. Let's see if he A, shows up for the race, actually makes the starting gate, and B, does he bring his A game, or is there's Paulo Lobo kind of hiding his baby who might have something that has gone south. No, Josh, he will actually be an A, so he will not be a defensive B.
Oh, so I hit the wrong one. It's this one then. Hold on. Where is it?
Wait, you already got these made up? I mean, yes, I am. So the other 2 horses I liked in here, we already talked about Smooth Something Like a Hot Brown. Horses drawn inside, which is a really good place to be at Indiana Grand. He's going to be forwardly placed, which is also a good place to be on the Indiana Grand turf. Should get the trip that he wants. And he's been a real good horse, and the Maker Barn has seemed to be kind of figuring it out, putting things together, and has been a little bit better than maybe 2 months ago. So I thought something like a Hop Round makes a lot of sense. And the other horse I thought was interesting was the 6 Duke of Hazard. Westward horse. First time Lasix. Westward is percent first time Lasix. Another horse that's going to be forwardly placed, should be involved really early. Doesn't have a draw where he's going to get washed way outside. We have to see if this one can stretch out, but I thought Duke of Hazard made a lot of sense. And I think I just need those 3. I need the 1, the 6, and the 12. And I don't really think I need anybody else in here. I want to go spready in other races, mainly the 2 races at Belmont. I want to have a little more coverage in, and I'm okay being a little bit more aggressive in this spot. Although I do agree with Caleb on all kind of the horses he pointed out. There's some outsiders here that, if you think some calamity happens, could step up and steal this. And I do love a good horse for course angle, although I'm not going to use the horse for course, and it's probably going to hurt me, and I'm going to be mad at myself. So.
Mark taking an aggressive stand by only using the top 3 horses in the race.
By only using the top 3 choices. Yes.
Yes,
that is me being aggressive.
Mark said something that I didn't even think of. Because Lasix is involved here or is allowed here. I mean, do you think maybe that's why they pointed Ivar here? I mean, Ivar's best races were with Lasix.
I never looked, Josh, but you are right. His best races were clearly with Lasix. So that very well could be the case. And if that's your angle, then you just single Ivar and you move on, right? Like if you're thinking that he came here because he can get Lasix where he couldn't in other races, like in Kentucky, then he's an ice cold single here.
Because what does Timeform think of that BC mile race? Like, is this some like? Really?
No. His BC mile absolutely. His BC mile wins this by 6 or 8 lengths.
Really?
Like he runs back to that race, he absolutely destroys this field.
Pretty much anything he's run since Kentucky Downs wins this race. I mean, someone like Hot Brown maybe has a race way back there that would, compete. Yeah. But I mean, if Ivar shows up, he wins. I mean, you're just trying to decide, is Ivar good enough off the layoff, coming off the small injury with the bad post and with Joe Talamo to win?
Yeah, I mean, like if Ivar runs any of his last 6 races, he wins this by as many as he wants. The question is this the same Ivar that you've had the last 2 years? So,
that's an excellent point, Nick, because I'm not convinced about Ivar needing Lasix. I think he ran basically just as well. He just found better horses as he moved up into grade 1s, besides that Keeneland Turf Mile. But Cavalry Charge is a horse that does have some excellent Lasix races and then just some absolute stinkers off of Lasix. That's a horse I'd be more inclined to believe might just need Lasix. Especially, pressing the pace on the inside on that Churchill turf, not the place to be. I had him as a toss initially because I have a thing against David Cohen on turf. But, I could maybe reconsider off that angle, Nick.
You mean G1 winner David Cohen on turf?
Did he win a G1 on turf?
He was at a Chad horse at Saratoga.
I remember the Chad horse, but I thought it was at Keeneland, and I didn't know it was a G1.
Yeah, it was I want to say it was like 4-star Dave. It was something on the inner. It was a wonky race. Anyways, go on.
No, that's all. Just he's a horse I'd consider here. And does anyone? I'm just curious because I was looking at the horse. Does anybody know who Michele Michel is, the jockey of the 3? Because I was trying to figure out if I could use this horse, and
isn't that the new?
I don't know who that jockey is.
Came across. It's the woman who came across the woman jockey, right? That came across from. Am I thinking of the right person?
I do not know her, and so it's not a jock that I do know.
Yeah. She doesn't get a weight allowance, so it's not a bug. But I mean, I can't say I follow the jockey.
Yeah, she was a French jockey.
Yeah.
Former champion apprentice in France.
Okay. Yeah, I will say though, I thought the same thing on Cavalry Charge. Nick Feldman has already mentioned this, that a different horse on Lasix and a horse that makes some sense. My issue really is if you're playing the Cavalry Charge winning angle on Lasix, Ivar is just a better horse on Lasix. So, yes, Lasix probably moves Cavalry Charge up, but it also moves Ivar up even more. So I had a hard time getting to Cavalry Charge on top. I just would prefer Ivar. But again, I wouldn't talk anybody off Cavalry Charge if you're playing that angle. It was just 3 or 4 jumps when I figured I only needed to make one.
Did you know that,
that makes sense.
Vinny Chimeno, he won on Flintshire in the 2015 Sword Dancer?
News to
Yes,
me.
I
He was
do
21.
remember that. But
He's 21 then. That's crazy. I started just clicking through links, but yeah. So apparently, Mikael and Vinny are both trying to become the next. I'm not going to say Flavian Pratt because I don't like him. I guess Florent Giroux is like my most favorite
I
of
don't much
the.
like him either.
I think he's my favorite French jockey, and that like. I hope Dark's not watching because he's just gonna like I don't know. He might just throw a fit.
I'm notorious for my hatred of French jockeys for no real legitimate
There's got
reason.
to be
But
someone else. No,
yeah,
it's Pratt, Giroux, and Leperoux. Oof, that's I mean, my Pratt hate is completely irrational, but
oh, mine is as well. My Leperoux hate is also completely irrational. I just made a lot of money betting against him one summer at Saratoga, and it turns into hatred long term. And it's a yeah, personal issue. But anybody else we need to talk about here? Anybody in chat have anybody they want to bring up?
no, I think you covered the top 4 choices, so I think we're good.
I think we covered like the top 10. I mean, that's how we roll. So let's hop on to the Indiana Oaks race 11. Big old 200K purse going a mile and a 16th on the main. I don't know. Let's go to Josh for this one. Josh, where'd you end up here, buddy?
I mean, I think everyone's going to single in this race.
Yeah.
I mean, this seems like the single of the sequence. I think you can. There's just such a big drop off from Interstate Daydream. I think to anybody else. I'm looking at Briz, obviously, but why don't you scroll up to the 3? I mean, I think the 3 is the other logical choice. And what's the fastest? The 3's fastest. He's like 7. She's like 17 points slower than Interstate Daydream. Like,
It's like 10 on time for him, but either way, that's a big.
Like I really did try to make a case for this 3 as maybe being the speed of the speed in this race. It's always tough because when you're in these like grade 1s, like these horses are just faster, and Interstate Daydream was sitting second and first in grade 1s and grade 2s, and now is coming here, and now he's facing allowance horse. She's facing allowance horses. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the 3's just going to go out there and just like burn it, but they're both Brad Cox horses too. So I don't know. I don't want to use both of them. So I think you take your lumps, you pick one, and you take your lumps. I think the 5 though is going to be like 2 to 5 in the spot, and I think is probably worth every bit of 2 to 5. You just like your only question marks are like what happened in the Ashland, but lost to Nest.
Nest happened in the Ashland, so
Lost to Nest. It came up wet. I don't know. Maybe if it comes up wet, maybe you try and beat the 5, but I don't know. It's just like not creative, and this is kind of like one of those races that like they're always tough because as a gambler, I want to beat this horse somehow, but as a bettor and a handicapper, right? And notice those are 3 different things. As a bettor and handicapper, you're like, you fucking idiot. This is the best horse in the race, and this horse should romp. So I don't want to be like Caleb and leave the 3 to 5 Chad Brown horse that should romp on paper off a ticket and lose out on 5 figures. So
you don't want to be like Caleb
again. But I think the 5 and you move on.
Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with Josh here. I think you single the 5 and you move on. Most likely winner of the entire sequence. I think for me, the most easily singled horse And I can make a case for a couple of others, but they will be, very. This will be an AC type race for me, where I'll have a couple of calamity plays, but they're all going to be pretty big prices. So, Caleb, anything that's not the 5 that you were interested in here?
Not really. I think the 5 is. I hate singling the horse. Everybody's going to single, but sometimes you just got to take what the sequence gives you. And Interstate Daydream just seems to be much the best in here. Creates her own trip. Probably sits just off the 3. I'm not totally sold on the 3. I'm not sure she wants to go this far. Go around 2 turns. Yeah, I think the 5 is kind of supposed to win this race. I took a look at the 7 and 8. If I was going to use C's, I'd probably use both of them. But I don't know that I will. I may have 95% of my money going through the 5, and then maybe one saver ticket using the 7 and 8.
Yeah, I agree about the 7 and 8. Those were I had 1, 3, 7, and 8 as my C's. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that the 5 is just supposed to win this race. None of the other contenders in this division showed up here. This seems like let's get get a little momentum going into this midsummer into fall campaign and see what we really have. So I tend to agree.
Just because this wouldn't be us if we didn't spend entirely too much time on a 1-horse race. I just kind of want to pose a theoretical question to the both of you, and it's something that I in Discord I had been asking about like ideas for new videos and stuff like that. See what people want to see, and someone had talked about bias, right? And so we're not going to do this whole like bias breakdown or anything right now. But my question is, all right, all of a sudden we take a look. We just have some insane outside closer bias, similar to how we had on Derby Day with the turf, right? Does that make do you think the 5 is still just good enough that it will overcome any kind of bias that you can think of? Or do you think that if you start seeing closers or something like that win, is that gonna change your play?
As a very smart man once said, really good horses overcome biases. And I tend to look at that. I think that if we were in a situation where I had 4
I really hope
horses.
you didn't just quote yourself. Like,
No,
just FYI.
I just quoted
Okay.
Caleb. So no, I think in situations where if there were 3 or 4 horses in here, they were all the same on paper or roughly the same, and there was a bias. Okay, then I move up 1 horse based on the bias and how that horse plays into the bias. When there's a horse that just stands out and screams on paper, there needs to be an absolutely massive bias play for me to come off that logical horse. I mean, the situations I can think of is, like a couple years ago at Saratoga, where the rail was absolutely dead. It was absolutely grim death inside, and you had a couple favorites that were there. Okay, well, cool. Outside horses could really step up because the rail was horrible. But unless you have just a massive bias, I don't really see how the 5 loses. And again, if you watch the first couple of races and you go, oh my God, there's this crazy outside closer bias. Well, okay, maybe you move some of those up, but I don't think your, B's and C's become A's. I think sort of your C's become B's. I think that's that sort of a scenario, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't change my opinion. I think the 5's too good. I mean, I think the more interesting question would be like, what if the 5 scratches? Because then this race gets really hard for me. But no bias, you're going to talk me off the 5 here.
Okay, so another smart person actually just asked this question. What if the 5 scratches?
Okay, we need to stop calling Caleb smart.
Honestly,
he's got enough complex already. I mean, they can barely walk through the door behind him, and we don't need to make this any worse.
Well, Ryan did ask.
Oh, did Ryan
He said
ask?
if the 5 bombs, who's the winner?
I think
I do like your 7. I think, Caleb. I actually like your 7 for the 2 questions that I asked. If for some reason this 5 scratches, I would move up to 3, but I would definitely use the 7 as well. And if, like I said, if it starts seeing like closers or outside is good, I might use that 7 a little bit, just because I feel like that's the one kind of, I don't want to say proven commodity, because I mean the horse won a 120 maiden and then ran second in optional, but has put together 2 nice, I think, back-to-back races and is going to be coming in with some form coming off the pace. So
My take here would be is if the 5 scratches, it's because Cox wants to run his other horse and wants to put the 5 someplace else. So I probably move the 3 up to being a a lone A type, and then I have some other horses that I maybe move up. But yeah, I think unless there was some sort of the horse whatever had a real legitimate injury kind of a scratch. If Cox just scratches it, it's because he's going, oh, I got a soft spot. I can get the 3 an easy win. And, I'm doing that instead.
Ryan Howard talking about y'all already know who the king of the biases are. Shout out to the shakeup. I'm sure he'll be live tomorrow.
The one and only Papa. I will be in chat on his stream because I do very much enjoy just hanging around and listening to him talk. He knows more about bias than I will ever know in my entire life.
He's forgotten more about bias than I'll ever know in my entire life.
Okay, that too. Yeah, that was the proper saying. I just effed it up.
Nick Feldman saying that the race reminds him of that Keeneland race last year between Matarea and Juju, both Cox. So,
yeah, I mean, maybe the other Cox angle is that like the other Chad angle?
Or the other Chad angle?
The other Chad angle? Yeah. My thought was always that Brad Cox is a little different than maybe Chad or Todd. I think normally with Brad Cox, the best looking horse on paper normally wins. Whereas opposed to Todd or Chad, very often the best looking horse on paper does not win. So, I think with me, I tend to play Cox horses at face value until proven otherwise. I think you're pointing to one scenario and not bashing you for it at all. But I think that was an oddball scenario. Normally, the best looking Cox on paper wins.
So why don't we move on to the next race here at race 12, the Indiana Derby. I did have a question for you, Mark, and I figured, hey, you got Formulator up?
I do.
So maybe we can do this in real time.
Okay.
So
don't ask me anything hard because I've had more than 0 alcohol. So
no. So the 6 horse here, Rattle and Roll.
Ooh.
All right. I have a question mark written because my question is I wanted you to pull a stat.
Sure.
What is Kenny Mcpeak on 5 days or on less than a week's rest? I know that there's a time frame.
I gotta find it.
I think it's 1 to 7 days, maybe.
Yeah, it might be 1 to 7 days.
Where is it here?
Off to the right.
I think days between starts.
Yeah, the days between starts.
1 to 7 days. No, just do 1 to 7 days. That should be fine.
1 to 7?
Yeah, because he ran what the second, and this is going to be the 9th. Yeah, so 1 to 7 days. Cool. Kenny Mcpeak.
17% win, 50% in the money, which is
1 for 6.
Yeah.
What was his winner? Vittori Kin. I am not familiar with that horse, but it was a turf horse.
So the thing that gets me here is, and again, if you're a statistics person, you're playing stats. Kenny Mcpeak is a 17% trainer. He has 17% win. So I don't move that horse up or down personally based on the short layoff. I just assume that I play it as if it was a normal layoff. It's not like there are certain trainers that Dickie Dutrow is the one I always think of. He is a notorious trainer for when he gets them right, he runs them 2 or 3 times right in succession, and his turnbacks are crazy live. Ken Mcpeak, I would just assume that this is a normal Ken Mcpeak horse, and you play it as such.
It was just something that stuck out to me. You don't see a lot of trainers do that all the time. You see Lexington. Is it Lexington time? Is that the last? No, not Lexington. What's the other one? What's the garbage one? It's not Lexington. Oh, Lexington's the garbage one. That's the last points race.
Yeah, the Bluegrass is a good one.
Okay. Yeah, so Lexington, you see it happen in Lexington when like some horse needs like 5 points and they run them back. But like outside of that, you don't really see the 1 to 7 day turnaround real often, unless you're who's that trainer that's like ran a horse like 20 times already this year? The
guy with the Russian name.
I can't remember. Man, if any of the domers were in here, they would know. Not the Russian Reaper. No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was some other guy.
He's in charge for that.
But yeah. Anyways, I was just curious because that was just something that popped out to me looking at the form. I'm not interested in the horse in the spot, but like I said, I just made a note. I'm like, I wanted you to run a formulator query on that because I didn't know. I really didn't know. It didn't come up in Brisnet, so.
Cool.
Caleb, why don't you tell us
Yeah.
who you like here?
Yeah, so Rattle and Roll is the favorite that I'm probably most against in this sequence. Won't have him on a single ticket. He has not improved pretty much at all since, honestly, like his 2-year-old season, roughly. I mean, on time form, he's improved 5 points from his 2-year-old race in the Brewers Cup Futurity. And even that 108 that he has, he's recorded that 3 times as a 3-year-old. It seems like this is as good as he's going to get, and I don't think it's good enough to win here. Kenny McPeak is not a trainer that I think is good. So, I don't like the quick turn back. Stephen said, there's a 6-horse sample size, so I'm not really going to pay attention to that. I just don't have any confidence that Kenny McPeak is going to get this horse ready. So I actually ended up I don't have a great opinion in here. I guess I'll preface with that. Since I'm not using the favorite, I don't feel quite as bad about taking a few of the shorter price horses other than him. And I like the 3 horses to his immediate outside, the 7, 8, and 9. The 7's probably the horse to beat, in my opinion anyway. I mean, he kind of rattled off 2 pretty impressive wins. Doesn't need the lead, but can make the lead if the race sets up. You get Cox, Giroux. A lot of positive signs here. I'm not sure he was beating a ton in that off the turf effort last time out, but I do think this is probably the horse that I would probably lean on the most. The 8 breaks all of my rules as he just broke his maiden, and then he moves up into a graded stakes race. But he broke his maiden so impressively, and when you see races that are won in strung out fashion like that, where the winner is 7 lengths clear, the second place horse is 5 lengths clear, and then 2 lengths to fourth. I mean, that generally indicates a pretty decent quality field. If they're all bunched up, that generally tells you the race kind of sucks. So the fact that they were all strung out and the second place horse actually came back to win next out, I think this might be a really nice horse that just somehow sold for $2,000. I don't want this horse at 7-2. That's not a big problem. So I haven't decided exactly how I'll play him. But I do think this horse has talent, but I think he's going to be an underlay in this field. And I guess. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say that 8 actually has a really cool pedigree. And I'm wondering why that horse went for so little. Was there some sort of an issue there? It's a sort of the old adage of like Zenyatta got sold for a very cheap price because she had a weird skin condition. Like, is that the same situation with Actuator? Because Bodymeister on top, Indian Charlie on the bottom, from a fairly decent Indian Charlie dam. That's actually a pretty kind of cool pedigree, in all honesty. So, yeah,
that's worth $2,200.
I mean, Winstar Farm bred this horse, and you look at the pedigree, and you would think turf sprint and maybe a mile, which makes sense as to why they spotted him there, but clearly not the right surface, or maybe just not the same horse as 3 as he was at 2. But a lot of questions on this horse for me. At 7-2, I might be inclined to let him beat me, despite the big figure last out, but I haven't totally decided.
And also, Bodymeister stands for $900. Really? How did that happen?
Where does he stand now? Is he standing in Turkey or something?
40,000 for Bodymeister.
They were showing Sire with 900 next to it, so I assumed that was the stand price for Windstar for Bodymeister. But that makes no sense why a Bodymeister would be a $900. That has to be a misprint. There's just
because he's in Turkey. Wrong. Isn't he in Turkey now, or is he back?
Well, I'm assuming breeder was Windstar, so I was assuming it was a homebred, but that wouldn't be a homebred with a price. That's just a weird. Yeah, it's got to be a wrong.
Got to be a typo. I'm seeing 12,500 right now. He was standing for 40,000 when this colt was folded.
That makes more sense. Yeah, a lot more sense. Okay, cool. I mean, I sort of agree with Caleb in here. I need 3 horses. I'm gonna let Unaho beat me. I think that Rebel was a bit of an aberrant race, and I really want to like the one-eyed horse. I just I don't know. I think this horse takes money for all the wrong reasons, and interested in the horse, but I just not here. I need to see either the barn change move the horse up or something changes. It always seems like there's obviously talent there, but it just never. I need to see it. I need to see that one race where I go, I feel like I can back this horse confidently. I think Caleb mentioned both a 7 and an 8, best actor and actuator. Both make a lot of sense. I want both of them to serve equally. I think obviously Brad Cox fires really well at 8 grand. So I think both of those two make some sense. And the other one that I was a little interested in is this 4 King Ottoman. Another horse where, obviously Lone Star winner last out, seems to be a horse that took a little while to kind of figure it out, but improving pattern. I thought that last race was fairly okay. Pedigree says this is probably the trip. And I realize the Asmussen barn has been off, specifically Indiana Grand, but I think this is the kind of horse that is probably set up for that late season 3-year-old run. You see a lot of these sort of late developing horses. This seems to be one that just kind of took a little bit longer to put it together and kind of figure things out, and probably hopefully moves forward from here. And Marty Pedrosa Jr. is been riding pretty damn well for Asmussen. So I think the connections are all there, and 5-1 seems pretty fair. So I thought it was an interesting horse as well.
I was just checking, but Southern Phantom stands for more than $900. So, and that horse's claim to fame is he's just got a white face. So that's interesting that it says the stud fee is $900.
It's got to be a misprint, Josh. There's just that doesn't make any sense. So.
All right, Mark, who do you like here?
4, 7, 8.
Oh no, he didn't like Rattle and Roll. Okay, this is just second, third, and fourth. Josh.
No. I want no part of Rattle.
No. I'm basically the same as Mark, except I don't want the 8. On Briz, the 8's last race, does look tough, but 7-2 coming out of a maiden race. I don't know. I much preferred the 7, which I think is kind of the point that Caleb was making. Horse a little bit more accomplished. I think the horse has got just as much speed as the 8 does. Just happened to be coming out of a faster race early, I think. I like the 7 in the spot, and I thought the 4 made a ton of sense as well. Won the Texas Derby, and beat a couple of decent horses. Beat AP Secret. I was trying to remember what horse that was. AP Secret, which was a pretty highly regarded Saffy horse down in Florida. And I don't know. I just think the 4 and the 7 are coming in with a little bit more accomplishment than the 8 coming out of this maiden race. So I'll take a shot with the 4 and the 7. They both need to improve. I just think that Rattle and Roll is going to be one of those types of horse I think that might need a setup kind of going forward, is going to has that late kick, and I just don't see it in this race. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of speed signed up, so I'm kind of, my mind is going the other way from the last race, or from the turf race. I'm looking for somebody who's going to be on the front end, and I really think, at least on Briz, from a quick look, the 7 looks like the horse that's gonna get the right pace set up here. So should see a little bit of improvement from the 7, and I think that puts him right in here to win this race.
Yeah, I didn't put Rattle and Roll right in the winner's circle yet, but I think the setup he needs to run into just a really soft field. Seems to be whenever he runs into a graded stakes caliber horse, he just gets run over. Whenever he runs into a fairly soft field, he kind of can he can gut it out and get a win. So that's always been my take on him. I'm hoping that there's somebody better than him in here. I just don't think he's that good, and so probably similar take to both Caleb and Josh, and we'll put him right in the winner's circle.
I don't take a lot of stock into Twinspire's Prime Power. But in my mind, I almost sometimes kind of use it like a class, almost a class totally, indicator or something like that, right? I'm not gonna say hey, bet the highest Prime Power or anything like that. But usually if you see this huge gap, you're like the wheels start turning a little bit, and you're like, all right, can we really beat this horse? Rattle and Roll does not look like a standout. He's got the best number, but he doesn't look like a standout here, unbeatable. And I'm thinking he's going to get bet like he's unbeatable. So I think there is going to be a little bit of value here. I think that the Brad Cox horse might actually present some value. We'll see. We'll see what the public does, right? But honestly, even if the morning lines get flipped and best actor is 5-2 and Rattle Rolls 4-1, I'm still taking the 7. So, and at least that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I see it the same way. The more I talk, I think the less I want the 8. I love your 7, like we talked about, Josh. I don't know what to do with King Ottoman. He might make a saber ticket. And I am going to have Uno. I guess I will say that. I just think this horse, too many people are discounting him as like a fluke, but yeah, I think he has talent. He was literally checked into the fence last time in the Arkansas Derby. Prior to that, he won a decent Rebel when Ethereal Road came back to win a good race at Pimlico. He ran second to Preakness winner early voting. He beat Gilded Age, who just came back to win a big race at Churchill on closing day, a big allowance. So, I think he's not as fluky as you would think, and you're going from a 3% trainer to like the biggest juice lord west of the Mississippi. So it might be east of the Mississippi. I actually don't know where Indianapolis is.
I think Indianapolis is west of the Mississippi.
I don't know if you're going to correct me, Mark.
Yeah. No, I mean, my thing with Uno is like, it's one of the things. If I'm betting Uno, I'm betting the horse only on the fact that he's going into the Dio barn. That's the only thing I like about him in this spot, and because none of his prior races are anywhere near as fast as a multitude of others in here. So, does the Dio barn move him up? I don't know, 15 points on time form? Maybe it does. Maybe he's getting the good Dio juice, but I don't know. He's a horse that kind of has to prove it to me first.
Do me a favor, Mark, since you got the screen, go up to the 8 real quick. And God bless it, it's a Churchill thing, isn't it? Wait, can you pull the chart from the last race?
You can pull the chart. Yeah,
okay, sorry. I thought the chart was the right. And then do what? So this is something I like doing when I use Timeform or DRF. You can pull up the next race, which is right next to standard chart, right? And then you can see how the horses came back. I like doing this. I like doing this to check for fake figs, right? So if we look at the Beyer figs, what did Hippodrome run when he ran second?
You want me to go back to the?
I think you can click Beyer figs, can't you? Right next to the next race. Yeah. Right. So it looks like he did improve off that. So look at that. But I don't know. Some of those horses are coming back and regressing. I like using this, especially like horses coming from the West Coast, just to double check against like figs. Like, hey, like maybe that 92 is just completely fake, and it still very well might be. But that's just kind of like a double check I do. And like I said, just because you have Formulator up, I don't use it too often anymore. But when I was using it, that's probably one of the better features, I think, of using it when you're kind of trying to compare figs and stuff, because I think once you start like treating figs as gospel, you start getting into, landing on a ton of chalk, and B, start to like, I don't know, you start kind of zeroing on it a little bit. So, but.
Cool.
But yeah, so congratulations to Indiana Derby winner Rattle and Roll. We will.
We put it right in the winner's circle.
Yeah, but I don't know. Anything else you guys want to talk about for the sequence?
I don't know about this sequence. It is closing weekend at Belmont, so you're going to have Mandos on Sunday. I'm sort of saving some bullets up to maybe chase some of those late. I don't think you're going to get any carries out of the Saturday card, but you never know. The Belmont card is really good. The entire card on Saturday is just really, really good. I love the fact that they move Stars and Stripes out a week so that it's no longer falls on the 4th, and it's the closing weekend at Belmont, which is really nice. And I quite honestly am just sort of saving my bullets until Saratoga right now. So
I hate it. I wish they would have ran on the 4th. I had time on the 4th.
I feel a little bit treasonous picking European horses on Stars and Stripes weekend.
Yeah, I guess what I do want to mention is what time is first post on Saturday, Mark?
Belmont first post is
1 p.m. Eastern,
1
right?
Eastern.
All right, and then we got a 12:20 Eastern start for Horseshoe Indianapolis. But we're going to do something a little different this week, something we've been kind of kicking around for a bit. with the summer kind of coming up being like the main focus, I think, for a lot of us when it comes to betting, we're gonna spin up a second stream. So Saturday morning, we're gonna start up, and at least for now, we're basically gonna try and start 1 hour before Naira first post. So whether it's Saratoga, well, it's going to be Saratoga at least for the time we're running this. So it's going to be 1 hour before first post. It's usually pretty consistent. I think on some of the longer days they've run a little bit earlier, but we're going to kind of try and stick to that. So 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. We will be live. We will be talking scratches. We're going to be talking sequences that maybe we didn't cover here. So stuff like Mark is looking forward to this pick 5 and pick 6 sequence. So I think it'll be a good time to kind of tweak things. We see scratches, stuff like that. Kind of revisit maybe a little bit of what we talked about on Thursday. I feel like sometimes we've had stuff where we're like, there's no way this horse can win, and all of a sudden like half the field scratches out, and it's like, of course this horse is gonna win. So allows us to backtrack a little bit, be a little bit go through stuff a little live, answer any questions you guys have. We're gonna try and keep it a little focused for now, so we're gonna stick, I think, with just the 2 tracks, Belmont and Indiana Grand, for Saturday. Obviously, Indiana Grand is going to overlap a little bit. They're going to have a couple races. So if you guys got questions about the early sequence or anything like that, like I said, come with questions. We'll have hopefully the 2 cards capped, and we'll definitely have Belmont capped. And then, once Saratoga and Del Mar come around, we'll probably just do it for Saratoga and Del Mar. And just, gives you guys a chance to ask questions. We have more information. We have scratches. Maybe we have weather updates. And if we have none of that, well, hey, we might have other sequences that we're playing. Or, I don't know, Caleb might have a haircut. He's going to be looking better.
Actually.
Yeah, look at who knows what's going to happen. But we'll schedule that stream tonight. And then, hopefully we see most of you guys on Saturday. It'll be fun. Look at Nick Feldman's already talking about as a backup. We might have to take you up on it. I did reach out to Ed DeRosa. He said he would also step in for one. So I'm going to try it. We'll try and figure out what our schedules are. I'm sure we're going to be missing time, but
the other really fun part is hopefully I will be able to do these on track at Saratoga. So I'm trying to get a mobile setup going so that I can be on track. You can be watching warm-ups before the first post. Exactly what Josh is showing right now. I should have a full mobile setup, and maybe I'll do some random interviews, stick some cameras and some big names' faces, and make them talk with the audience. So Chad, I know Chad will always be up for an interview. He's pretty chill, so we'll see how it goes.
I also heard that Steven wanted some bedroom pictures of Caleb, so maybe when in the Airbnb, maybe I'll sneak a couple for you, Steven. Oh, hey Caleb, what's up?
He just wants foot pictures. He just wants bedroom foot pictures. That's all Steven.
You'll see all my Gulfstream Park wall arc on my wall.
Yep, Jay, perfect. He's like, we'll have the scratches and other information. Hopefully, we'll have the winners too. So
yeah, I think the idea though is we're going to try to be a little bit more sequence focused. So hey, we talked about the feature races on the card, but I really love this pick 3 over here. That's races 2, 3, 4, and we never talked about it. But I like this course I'm keying around, and here's how I'm really trying to slam this. So be a little bit more sequence focused and be a little bit more play focused, and that way sometimes we're in these things where we're like, oh yeah, these favorites make sense, but how am I actually spending my money? Like, where am I actually firing?
It's a jock.
It is a jock. It's always a jock.
I hate you all.
But yeah, we'll go ahead. Like I said, I'll get that scheduled tonight. We'll send out a tweet. You guys can always catch our stuff at wrong_lead. And we try and post stuff on there. Obviously, hit us up on Twitter whenever you want. You guys, our personal Twitters are on here. And then, make sure if you haven't, check out AM Wager. They got the sweet sign-up deal. It helps us out a little bit. So it's in the bottom. Make sure you shout out Keep Pounding. I know he's super excited about the Baker Mayfield trade. So he's got a quarterback. I think he's got like 7 quarterbacks now. Carolina just can't fucking keep anybody after Cam. So I don't know what's going on there. But yeah, for Brian, Caleb, Mark, and myself, we will catch you guys later.